World Pro Racing, where sim racing becomes real.
Senna was a god. No one could even dream to follow him.
I'm from a very humble background.
The role of women at that time were really difficult.
This is so dangerous. You are risking not only your life, but also my life.
World Pro Racing, where sim racing becomes real.
Good evening everyone, and welcome back to World Pro Racing, being broadcasted live on Malta's TVM Sport channel. We're also live on motorsport.tv and our good friends over at eSports Television. And also, if you're watching on one of the many World Pro Racing streams, thank you very much for joining us. Alex Goldschmidt back with you once again, and this time we head to South Africa, as we have the McLaren Showdown at the place in Zulu known as my home, the Kyalami Grand Prix Circuit, which this year celebrates its 60th anniversary and is currently under Porsche South Africa ownership. It also has hosted Formula One in years past, but we are bringing Woking's finest to the Gauteng province, just on the suburbs of Johannesburg. Firstly, as always, we can't forget to thank all our partners and sponsors for their welcome assistance and help in continuing to assist World Pro Racing to flourish. Thrustmaster, GT Omega Racing, HyperX, where we're all gamers, AMD, and of course, Gaming Alta. So we have got a very matter-of-fact format here. 15-minute free practice session, 15-minute qualifying session, and then a 40-minute flat-out sprint with a mandatory pit stop. And all drivers will be using the 4-litre twin-turbo V8-powered McLaren 720S GT3. Now the circuit itself has quite a few elevation changes, has the roller coaster ride going through Loikop and into Mineshaft. It's going to be a tough order for all the drivers tonight because they will be in exactly the same machinery. And the first thing that will happen is that will give us no place for those drivers to hide tonight. It will be down to how they effectively manage the cars and over the course of the 40 minutes. And one of the biggest things about a track such as Kyalami, you have to have mechanical sympathy. You can't go barging in there like a bull in a china shop. That's one thing that you can't do. So there's quite a few things coming up here on World Pro Racing. We've actually got 3 new championships starting up very soon. We've got the Alpine GT4 Championship on the rFactor 2 platform. We've also got the AMD GT4 series, and also we will have the returning World Pro Racing Assetto Corsa Competizione Sprint Series. It's back for Season 3, so Wednesdays, Thursdays and Fridays will be filled with championship action. And still, here on World Pro Racing, there's a hell of a lot more to come. There's Mega Sprint Tuesdays, HyperX Open Series on Fridays. There is so much for you all to have that opportunity to come and compete with us here and be a part of the World Pro Racing family. You can head to all our relevant social medias and, of course, worldproracing.com, our official website. Let's see if we can now head trackside here at Kyalami. So, free practice underway. And there is a very familiar name there, who's just gone very, very wide coming out of Cheetah. Luke Whitehead. There's Ashton Cox in the number 158. We've also got quite a few familiar drivers here as well. 14 of them. So we've got Matthias Albrecht, we've got Daniel Vella, Jorge Afonseca. We've also got Mikael Marchega, David Ohak, Jan Niklas Ebrich, Rainer Rester, and I wonder if his McLaren 720S is going to be lit up like a purple stroke pink highlighter that I've still got in my drawer. But at the moment, Luke Whitehead leading the times on a 1 minute 41.127. Ashton Cox just over 7 tenths adrift, but then is Jorge Afonseca from Portugal that we are with at the moment, who's just making his way up through the S's and through into the left-hand hairpin here at Loikop. Tight apex taken, allow the car to run wide to the right, and then power down through this long descent. And through in towards the Crocodiles. As Machega, currently P3, Ohak, Jan Niklas Ebrich, they all round out the top 5 at the moment, covered by just over 1.1 seconds. So, Daniel Vella is the last of the drivers so far, rounds out the top 10. As David Ohak goes 18 thousandths quicker than Ashton Cox on that particular occasion. Does Jorge Afonseca improve on this particular time? No, he was just over 3.5 tenths off. Rainer Rest is currently in the pits. And there is David Ohak in the number 13. Quite a lot of brightly coloured cars, but also with quite a few dark colours, so quite a lot of pink stroke purple there, a bit of white, a bit of grey, and also some dark black. Now Ohak makes his way through Clubhouse. Now, this particular circuit was actually the original variation, was used back in from 1961 until 1985. Due to the apartheid situation and following on from political sanctions. And the circuit was redeveloped back in the early 90s as part of a commercial development around the Johannesburg area. And now we've also had Toby Venter, who is one of the main people behind Porsche South Africa, is one of the owners of the circuit itself. This circuit has actually hosted the Kyle Army 9 Hours for the Intercontinental GT Challenge, which also included, the first time was 2019, and then a very small grid last year in 2020, obviously with the current situation. Thanks to the COVID-19 pandemic, Ashton Cox on that particular occasion was just under 3 tenths off his best lap time. So we just have 10 minutes to go into the session, so it is a 15-minute practice, 15-minute qualifying session, 40-minute race with a mandatory pit stop. But the pit stop window is open. As you can see, the track temperature's 32 degrees Celsius. That could provide us with a bit of degradation a little bit later on in the race as Ashton Cox brings it to a halt. And that brings out a yellow flag before he does the return to garage. Sandro Zadha in the number 12, running at the top 6 positions, 1.785 seconds off of Luke Whitehead, and a few other drivers. Pripanna has yet to set a lap time, Kostin Abaya also, and then Erki Marmor. So 3 drivers yet to set a lap time. And Lee Ware in the Axiom Racing number 4. Running in the 153s on a first attempt, but this is not where it's really going to pay dividends. It's going to more than likely be the case when they go into qualifying after this session. So the M840 engine that is shoehorned into the mid part of this car produces around produces about 700 Newton meters worth of torque from that fantastic twin turbo power plant. So some statistics for you people at home. The McLaren 720S, this particular model, is the 2019 model year. 540 brake horsepower and in excess of 700 newton meters of torque, with a top speed of around nearly 280 kph, and it hits a red line of around 7,885 rpm. So all cars will be around about the 1,285 kilo mark. It's nearly 2.7 meters long. Well, 2.7 meters is the wheelbase. 4.664 meters is the length of the car, and it's just a shade taller than Dolph Lundgren. Well, it's just over 2 meters, 2 meters and 4 centimeters wide. And there's 377. That's Daniel Rumsey, proudly sporting the flag of the Welsh Dragon. And again, yeah, I'm just going to say that never gets old. That never gets old because I've already got the highlighter ready to rock and roll. But let's go aboard on a lap here with Reino Hesse. We're now making our way through Sunset, up the gears, 4th gear, down to 2nd now into the left-hander at Clubhouse, hitting the apex at around about 110 kilometres an hour. And Hesse goes a little bit to the right-hand side to start teeing up the car for the S's. So neat and tidy through there. Lets the car drift wide to the left before the run up to Loikop. 4th gear, 200 kph, hard on the brakes. Down into what would be 1st gear. Now starts putting the power down. Tight apex going through into mineshaft. Up to 4th. Now hitting around 220 kilometers an hour just after shifting up to 5th gear, nearly 230 before braking into the zone for the Crocodiles. Run the car wide to the left and then carry the speed through into Cheetah, 3rd gear, 160 kph. Now into Ingwe, down the gears once again, this time into 1st, tight apex taken. Let the car drift to the right hand side. And Luke Whitehead already running in the high 1 minute 40.8. René Ressa, that is a 1 minute 42.594. Best effort for the Estonians so far in this session. But top 3 covered by just over a second in that session. There's Kusanabaya in the GT Omega RPM Esports car. 92. Now coming through Crowthorns. And that's not how you take the corner if you want to get the good momentum carry going up into the Juxkay sweep. Now into the left at Barbecue. And that was pretty scruffy on that exit there. But you can see that Kusanabaya weaving from side to side, trying to get some temperature in not just the brakes, but also the tyres on that McLaren 720S. Now going through into Sunset. Track itself, current variation, 2.814 miles. That's just over 4.5 kilometres in length. 16 turns in total. We're into the last 5 minutes of the session. And with the top 7, as Abaya goes for a little bit of a whoopsie-daisy spin there. And that was going through into the S's, I believe. So there's Mikhail Marchega. I remember him from some GT Sport frivolity we had a few weeks ago, or maybe a few months ago, as one of the McLarens gets out of the way rather sharpish. So Marchega now negotiates the left-hander here at Clubhouse. Now into the sweeping left that takes them into the S's. Down the dip they go. And Marchega not lifting off there. Runs a little bit wide going through the first part of it. Up the incline now. In towards Loikop. Down from 4th to 1st. And Marchega. Very good, neat, tidy apexes on both aspects of Loikop. Now down mineshaft. Marchega just over a second off of Luke Whitehead, who still leads this session. Just 3 minutes and 50 to go. Through into the right-hander at Cheetah. One of the things you don't do on that corner is wallop the curb, because you can also wallop the sausage curbs. And I've seen people go like Michael Knight, you know, Knight Rider style, going through that corner, and it doesn't really help you at all. Across the line, Marchega goes ahead of the Niklas Ebrich. So Marchega 1 minute 42.336 was his last lap, but obviously his best lap was invalidated, I would imagine, due to track limits. There is Daniel Rumsey making his way through into Crowthorne. Putting down the power, now heading into the right-hander at the Jux K sweep, up this slight incline here. So Erkin Marmor and Prit Parna have yet to set a lap time in this. As Rumsey makes his way through Sunset now into the left-hander at Clubhouse. Definitely some interesting colour choices here tonight when it comes to the liveries. But Rumsey now makes his way through the S's. Took a tight apex going through the first part of it. Nice and neat and tidy there on the run-up to Loikop. Just waits. Now, you could literally about a couple of seconds earlier hear Rumsey hit the throttle and start to carry the momentum through Loikop and into Mineshaft. Now through into the Crocodiles. The Rumsey will get another opportunity at a lap after this. So now through into the right-hand sweeper at Cheetah. Runs a little bit wide, but not too bad to the point where it invalidates the lap time. Rumsey comes through Ingwe. He's dropped down into 11th position because someone else has made... Oh, and has a bit of a tank slapper coming out of the final corner. It's not what you want. But across the line goes P8. So Daniel Vella now drops all the way down to 11th with a minute and a half on the session to go. Kirsten Abaya coming through in towards the left-hander here at Clubhouse. That was a little bit cleaner for the GT Omega RPM Esports driver going through the exit of Clubhouse. Now down into the S's. Now up the incline. So Abaya might get another lap in, as we're 50 seconds away from completing the free practice session, ahead of 15 minutes of qualification. So it is all about who is going to win the Woking Showdown here at Kyalami Grand Prix circuit. 30 seconds on the clock remain in the free practice session. By now hard on the brakes, turns in, neatly hits the apex, lets the car drift to the right hand side a little bit and puts the power down towards the start-finish line. So does Kirsten Abaya improve? Yes, up to P7 ahead of Jorge Afonseca. And there is Daniel Rumsey now making his way through the Crocodiles. And through into the right-hander at Cheetah. Down the gears once again into the left-hander at Ingwe. Checkered flag is out for the session. So Sandro Zadha is the first one to cross the line, P6. Rumsey goes across the line, stays P9, drops Afonseca. So good bit of work there from Daniel Rumsey. So Kirsten Abaya will still probably be on a hot lap. As will Mikhail Machega. Amongst others, Daniel Vella all the way down in 11th position. Only two drivers not yet having set a lap time. Well, they're not going to be able to set a lap time, and there's been a bit of a moment there for one of the cars. I think that was the 97 of Mikhail Machega, who has returned to the garage. So Luke Whitehead, a regular here at World Pro Racing, especially on the Assetto Corsa Competizione platform. Finished runner-up in both of the previous seasons of the World Pro Racing Assetto Corsa Competizione Sprint Series, and has also been racing elsewhere on the Assetto Corsa Competizione platform and has been doing really, really well so far. So Rumsey, Vella, so there we go. That is it for the session. So once again, Luke Whitehead showing his adaptability and being able to put it in the high 1 minute 40.8s. So your guess is as good as mine. Is anyone going to topple Luke Whitehead this evening for the McLaren showdown here at Kyle Army? Well, to be completely honest with you, don't count your chickens before they hatch is all I'm going to say here. Now, there's a few championships which the applications are still going on at the moment. The Alpine GT4 Championship will be taking place, and that will start from Wednesday the 12th of May 2021. Applications close on Monday the 3rd of May. There are still 11 spots available on the grid. Also, Season 3 of the World Pro Racing Assetto Corsa Competizione Sprint Series. Applications for that will close on Friday, May 7th at 8:30 p.m. Central European Summer Time. Also, we've got a new series, the AMD GT4 Series. Monday the 10th of May at 8:30 p.m. the applications close. There are 9 spots still available. Also, events coming up. We have our next Mega Sprint Tuesdays at the Hungaroring, which will be Tuesday next week, the 4th of May. We'll also have Race 2 of the HyperX Open Series at the home of British Motorsport at Silverstone. The Alpine GT4 Championship will kickstart at this very circuit, Kyle Army of all places, on the 12th of May. And then over 5 weeks, they'll head to Portimao, Adelaide, Silverstone Grand Prix, and the season finale will be at Road America. The AMD GT4 Series, that starts on the 13th of May, will start at Spa-Francorchamps before heading to Cheshire's Alton Park, Kyle Army, Misano, and the Nürburgring. And then also, as we are now getting into qualifying, those wondering about the World Pro Racing ACC Sprint Series Season 3, it will be Laguna Seca on May 14th, Imola on the 21st of May, Kyle Army on the 28th. The 11th of June will be Monza, the 18th of June will be Mount Panorama, Bathurst. So, hold on to your hats, we're in for a wild ride as the McLaren showdown here at Kyle Army really kicks up into top gear and at full speed, as a few drivers yet to come out of the pits at this particular moment. Lee Ware and also Luke Whitehead both staying stationary at the minute, but it looks like a few drivers making their way through. There's David Ohak. He's got clear air and track position in his favour. So for those in the YouTube chat, who's your money on tonight? Let's see if we can crown a McLaren Showdown casual race winner here. So David Ohak making his way through, and that will be through the crocodiles as he now makes his way into the right-hander at Cheetah. You can see a few sausage curbs on the inside there as well. So that's what you want to avoid hitting. You just want to make sure that you neatly get away from the apex, but don't go too far in terms of rotation into it. David Ohak crosses the line, puts down the benchmarker, 1 minute 41.733. Now here's Jan-Niklas Ebrich. Within 0.35 of a second, Michael Machega, 0.43 off of pole. So the benchmark has been set, and Ohak's time is around about 9/10 off of what we saw from Luke Whitehead in the free practice session. So it looks like we do have... So the times have started to come in. Kirsten Bayer from GT Omega RPM Esports now drops to 6 as Michael Machega stays in 3rd. Daniel Vella from Goduria Racing rounds out the top 8, 4.3 seconds off of Ohak's time, as now Luke Whitehead is out on the circuit. And all I'm going to say is wait for the warning shots to be fired. This young Brit does a fantastic job. Good to see that Q on the YouTube chat saying I'm always rooting for you. Well, have you got your pom poms out tonight? Is all I'm asking. And maybe, well, if there is a Luke Whitehead fan club, you might have to get them making their way here and showing their support. So Whitehead making his way through Sunset. Oh, that's not what you want to do on the exit of the corner. The apex was pretty neat and tidy. The exit was a little bit scruffy there. But of course, he's only just come out of the pits, so those tyres not quite yet up to temperature. As Erkin Marmor and Lee Ware, the only drivers not yet out on the circuit, still both in the pits. And they've only got 9 minutes and 20 seconds to put in a hot lap. Nathan Mifsud says, if Luke continues to rock the McLaren, sign me up. Well, he might disappoint you there, Nathan, I'm afraid. But we'll wait and see. A little bit of a... Now, he's got a car just up ahead of him. Not too sure who that is. That is the number 8 car. That's Pripana. And Luke Whitehead was putting the old flashers on, as if to say, oi, out of the way, Mush, come on, coming through. And Luke Whitehead, well, that was a very, very casual outlap. Yeah, well, any fan club is allowed for anyone to join. You know, yellow flags out on the circuit. That's the 92 of Custard and Bayer, currently 5th in quali. The GT Omega RPM Esports driver just under 1.3 seconds off. Matthias Elbrecht in the number 86. The Estonian has now decided to return to garage. There's Mikhail Machega looking to just get a little bit of track position, I think. The number 97. So Machega winding up that McLaren to volume number 11 in the words of Spinal Tap. That is a best effort and gets to within 4.5 tenths. So Ohak, Jan-Niklas Ebrich and Mikhail Machega covered by just under 4.3 tenths of a second. Ashton Cox rounds out the top 4. Heiner Hesse down in 7th position as we're halfway through the session now. That looks to be possibly more than likely... Is that Luke Whitehead behind him? I'm not sure. Well, we'll find out in a minute because now there is Whitehead. He's making his way through into Cheetah. Lets the car run wide to the left. Good call. Nicely, neatly done there through Cheetah. So, what is Whitehead going to bring to the party in qualifying? Because Ohak's gone provisional pole. Now, that was a disallowed lap. Unfortunately, a 141.8, and that would have put him second alongside Ohak. There's Daniel Vella, having a little bit of a grassy knoll moment there, going through Sunset, but then gets the car composed, ready for the left-hander at Clubhouse. So had that lap not been invalidated, Luke Whitehead would be a 10th away from provisional pole. But at the moment, it's David Ohak, Jan-Niklas Ebrich, a multi-time casual race winner here on World Pro Racing. Mikhail Machega rounds out the top 3. Ashton Cox in 4th. And with Zarha in, Sandra Zarha in the number 12. So top 5 covered by just over a second. Heiner Hesse rounds out the top 6. And there's Luke Whitehead coming through Loikop and now going down into Mineshaft. That roar in that car sounds awesome, doesn't it? As now Whitehead makes his way through the Crocodiles. Top 9 covered by just under 2 seconds. And that's rounded off by the 3:15 of Portugal's Jorge Afonseca. As Whitehead now makes his way through into Ingwe. What's the time going to be? Is he going to go better than Ohak? We're about to find out with just over 5 minutes and 20 to go in the session. Whitehead across the line. Is that me? Or that was another invalidated lap? That's... I've never seen that 2 laps for Luke Whitehead in rapid succession have both been invalidated. Well, that's the first. Sandra Zarha puts it into the pits now. I know that Steve Johnson wasn't able to make it in time to join us, so Hopefully we'll have Steve back with us very, very soon in one of the either casual races or any of the championships coming up. There's still more in the pipeline here on World Pro Racing, let me assure you of that. So Matthias Albrecht, 6.8 seconds off of the pace. But Ashton Cox has got to within 7/100ths off of David Ohak in the meantime. So Ashton Cox doing his level best. Matthias Albrecht, will he improve? Let's find out. P11. So that's a marked, a heftier improvement there. And that puts the Estonian up into P11. There's Luke Whitehead. 2 invalidated laps. So 1 minute 41 point, what was it? 1 minute 41.04. That would be pole position. Now he's pulled into the pit lane. Now there's two things that speak out to me with how that has gone so far for Luke Whitehead. Either he's going to have a little bit of fun and he's playing with us, and he's going to start from the back of the grid and side his way through to the front. We've seen that before on World Pro Racing. Or is there a genuine problem for Luke Whitehead? Now, we've had it before where, you know, I've commentated on him on other leagues, and you know, he had an injury, and also there are times when technology doesn't always work in your favour, and it decides to cause you a little bit of a problem, let's say. So, Albrecht coming through into Cheetah. Let's see if there is any improvement from 11th. Out of Ingwe. And heading towards the line. What's the time here? Yep, P10. And goes well over 6.5 tenths of a second quicker than Daniel Vella in the number 25. Yeah, that's what I was thinking, Nathan Mifsud, whether he's got technical issues. So that can happen. I did see a little bit of lag spiking there, but not much from Luke Whitehead, as David Ohak has extended the gap. Now, if that was the case, now that's not what you want on a lap there, David Ohak, and trying to go around the outside is probably not the best idea either. So Luke Whitehead, customarily out of position. So both he and Luke Ware not having set a lap time, which puts Whitehead on the outside of row number 7. As we're into the last minute and 20 seconds of this race. It's a 40-minute sprint race here at Kyle Army for the McLaren Showdown, and an open pit stop window, which means that any driver can take their mandatory pit stop at any time. Looks like David Ohak has called it a day with a 1 minute 41.5. But if Luke Whitehead's lap, the second one, was not invalidated, he would be on pole position by pretty much half a second. Afonseca, there goes Sandro Zaha. That was coming out of Cheetah. Back end steps out to the left. Car goes spearing into the wall on the right hand side, and that brings out the yellow flag. So that will be a return to garage for Sandro Zaha. Rainer Ressa in the number 690 EuroRC.com McLaren, currently P6, and is about a tenth off of Sandro Zaha. And there's been another yellow flag, and that's Matthias Albrecht that has brought that out. And Plitpana has also brought out a yellow flag, and that's going through the S's. As Rainer Ressa comes out of the final corner at Ingwe, and the 690 goes across the line. Is there an improvement? Yes, goes up to P5 and crosses the line with literally seconds on the clock to go. And Ashton Cox, looking to do his best, but the checkered flag is out for the session. For qualifying for the McLaren Showdown here at Kyle Army live on World Pro Racing. And that looks to be Daniel Vella just up ahead. So Ashton Cox looking to try and move forward, as you can see on your screens there. And that was an aborted lap for Ashton Cox. Backed out of that one. And, well, need we say any more? But Jan-Niklas Ebrich has an opportunity. German in the 299. Down mineshaft for the final time. And then through into the Crocodiles, turn 13, now into 14, running a little bit off track there. Probably where Luke Whitehead got caught out. Into turn 15 at Cheetah. Oh, and loses the back end, and bang! Straight into the barriers for Jan-Niklas Ebrich. So, no Luke Whitehead on pole position. And what happened? David Ohak took pole position for the McLaren Showdown. Is there going to be that little bit of fly in the ointment there? Because, you know, we had Ashton Cox and Jan-Niklas Ebrich in the top 3, covered by less than 0.4 of a second. Jan-Niklas Ebrich, it looked like a pretty good lap until he lost it coming out of the Crocodiles and through Cheetah, and then hitting the wall. That's not what you want to do. But we have a 40-minute sprint race ahead of us. Don't forget, you can follow us on all the relevant social media channels, so at World Pro Racing on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and of course our website, worldproracing.com. And I want to ask you people out there, who's your vote on for tonight? Who are you rooting for? I've seen already Ashton Cox has got a mention, Luke Whitehead has got a mention. I think it's time to find out here. Let's see if we can go trackside very, very soon for the start of the McLaren Showdown here at Kyle Army. It's a fantastic circuit. As I said, it's hosted the Formula One South African Grand Prix in years past. It has also hosted so many other different events, and it is part and parcel of South African motorsport. You know, there's a lot of great talents that have come from South Africa, such as Kelvin and Sheldon van der Linde, the van der Linde brothers, both racing in DTM this year, along with sports car commitments, one with Audi and one with BMW. Also Jordan Pepper and David Perel. Those are some of the superstars from South Africa that have ended up in GT3 machinery over seasons past. Obviously, Jody Scheckter, one of the biggest names out of South Africa, that also took a world championship with Scuderia Ferrari. And this track is one that I really, really love. It gives you so many different opportunities to overtake, but also it gives you an opportunity to challenge yourself. Let's head trackside for the McLaren Showdown here at Kyle Army. So here is your starting order. It is Ohak from Cox, Ebrich, Merchega, Ressa, Zarha, Ebeya, Ramsey, Afonseca, Albrecht, Vella, Panna, Marmor, Whitehead and Ware. So 40 minutes on the clock. It will be down to David Ohak and Ashton Cox to control the rolling start formation as they all come through Ingwe and start lining up. Are we ready? Are we steady? Well, the McLaren Showdown all of a sudden goes from red to green. We're off and racing. And a good start from David Ohak, but Ashton Cox trying to get the advantage going through the kink, heading into Crowthorne for the first time. As Ebrich keeping ahead of Merchega, but looks like Ressa trying to go up the inside, and then you got one car right round the outside trying to get through, but that looks to be maybe Afonseca or Zarha, but Abaya has also gotten through into barbecue for the first time, as we've already got one car going off track. So at the moment it's Ohak from Ashton Cox, Jan-Niklas Ebrich, Mikael Merchega, Rainer Ressa up into 5th place now, with Kirsten Abaya now going up the inside, going through Sunset as Ressa runs wide. And Luke Whitehead, well, the cat has already bolted off of the hot tin roof, and there is Whitehead. He's now trying to go toe to toe That's with Daniel Rumsey there. He started 14th. He's now going to go for an actual P8. As they go through into Lloyd Kopp. Neatly done there by Luke Whitehead. Just timed that to perfection. Nailed the apex and nailed the power. Coming out of the corner. As there is Renaud Hesse. Closing in on Kirsten Abaya. They're battling away for 5th position. And there is Whitehead, who's nearly got Rumsey going up the inside of him, going through into the Crocodiles. And Daniel Vella's had a bit of a moment. As again, Abaya really keeping it in front of Renaud Hesse after the former took the initial advantage to gain 5th position, going through into Sunset Bend. Now David Orhak as Ashton Cox about half a second behind. Then it's Jan-Niklas Ebrich. Let's go to a replay. Now this is Daniel Vella running in P13 at the time of the incident, going into Lloyd Kopp. So hard onto the brakes, going through into the corner, steps out the back end just by hitting the... he hit the accelerator a bit too early there. So if nothing, I'll give Daniel Vella 11 points out of 10. Now Whitehead's just had a bit of a moment there. I will say for throttle application or throttle application eagerness from Vella there, that definitely deserved an 11 out of 10. Luke Whitehead with just over 37.5 minutes to go on the clock here at the McLaren Showdown at Kyalami. Now up from 14th to P8, so 6 positions gained. He's now trying to battle his way past Renaud Hesse, who now has Sandro Zarha in front. David Orhak still leading the way, and has Ashton Cox and Jan-Niklas Ebrich. There's been contact! And there's someone else who's just literally exited stage left. So there was contact between Abaya and Ressa, possibly. I'm wondering if Sandro Zarha was involved in that. As now that means that Kirsten Abaya drops down into 11th position. So the biggest thing that I'm now going to keep an eye on is there any damage on that car? Because if there was some front bumper damage, that would be an instant telltale sign that that car was involved in that incident. As Luke Whitehead now up 9 places, and we're not even 3.5 minutes in. Luke Whitehead in the number 2 McLaren, running in P5. There's Erky Marmor, and it was Matthias Elbrecht that actually exited stage left when we saw the carnage in front. So this is what happened. So you got Abaya, you got Sandro Zarha, and Abaya's just lost it. Zarha's gotten out of the way, and as a result of the spin from Abaya, that has collected Ressa, who had nowhere to go. Then all of a sudden, Matthias Elbrecht did a bit of sympathy spinning. And as you can see here, Erky Marmor has got Lee Ware behind. Renaud Hesse is being closed in on by Kirsten Abaya. So nothing at all to do with Sandro Zarha, who actually got out of the way and positioned the car exactly where he needed to. But you can see that front bumper on that 720S for Renaud Hesse is rather second-hand. As you can see, lovely picture-in-picture there from our broadcast team, because the server is at 6:07 PM local time here in Kyalami, and with that, the temperatures are dropping. And the sun is starting to fade. Now we're already getting word of a penalty, and that car for Matthias Elbrecht is looking not just second hand, but it looks like it is not tracking true. We're going to get our first penalty, I would believe. So 5-second time penalty. That is for Luke Whitehead. And that was an incident involving him and Renaud Hesse. Luke Whitehead gets a 5-second time penalty for causing an avoidable collision, in the words of race control. So, this is Matthias Elbrecht. And this is going through in towards Cheetah. Back end steps out. And that... yeah, that's... so, yeah, Renaud Hesse. Yeah, who is now down in 9th position as we proceed with this race. So the drivers can, at any point, serve their mandatory stop. No one has decided to blink yet. But my question to you people at home, you good people watching there, and again, thank you very much for your support. It's greatly appreciated here at World Pro Racing. What do you think might happen? Because I've had it where we've gone from daytime to nighttime, as there's Lee Ware goes off, and that's at Clubhouse. And Elkin Mummo manages, well, just goes straight up the inside. Doesn't need a second invitation. Oh, Daniel Vella's got a very, very second-hand looking McLaren. Oh, that car is absolutely... I think the term I'm going to use here, it's like someone dropped that McLaren through a tree and it hit every ugly branch on the way down. That car is completely destroyed at the front end. A real shame for Daniel Vella, as there's a moment for Rumsey, and he tangles with the wall, and that was coming out of Cheetah. Oh my goodness. Oh, I don't know what to say. I really don't know what to say. Actually, my apologies there. It wasn't Luke Whitehead that got the 5-second time penalty. It was actually Reina Ressa that got the time penalty for avoidable collision with Luke Whitehead. We're on board with Ashton Cox going through into the right-hander at Sunset. Lifting off now, burying the throttle down into the left at Clubhouse. Turn 7, opposite lock there for Ashton Cox to contend with. And then there, all of a sudden, is Jan-Niklas Ebrich, and he's gone door panel to door panel, and the German from DJ Racing has got his way past. Ashton Cox had to deal with that snap-on oversteer that was basically to the left and to the right. And Jan-Niklas Ebrich went, yep, there's my window of opportunity. Kirsten Abaya and Reina Ressa. Oh, now there was a bit of a drama-filled moment there. Probably a bit of new virtual Nomex needed for Jorge Afonseca. That was coming through the S's, and he is still ahead of this battle. And it's between Abaya and Ressa. Not too far behind is the 377 of Daniel Rumsey. Just hear how savage those downshifts on these McLarens are, as we just heard from Kirsten Abaya's car. They've just come through Cheetah, back on board with the car, and Ressa, I think, yeah, is the first driver with not significant enough damage. Well, it has still got damage on it, nevertheless. But the best thing to do now, he's pitted with just 9 minutes completed of this race. And in there also comes Daniel Rumsey. So Ressa's going to have to serve a 5-second time penalty. I would think that, yeah, looks like Daniel Vella's decided to park that car. As there is Jan-Niklas Ebrich and Ashton Cox battling away over second position. They're going through into the left-hander at Clubhouse, turn 7. And David Ohak hasn't scarpered away off into the distance as much as I thought he might. It's 1.4 seconds, but Jan-Niklas Ebrich will start closing, but Ashton Cox is holding on. There is Mikael Machega. We go on board with Ashton Cox now down into the left-hander here at Loikop. Now starts to build the speed. Up to second. Up to third. 180 kilometres an hour and climbing. Fourth gear now. Through into the left-hand sweeper. Fifth gear and over 220 kilometres an hour. Now the heavy braking zone for the right-hander here at the Crocodiles. Tight apex taken. Allow the car to drift out to the left-hand side a little bit. Try and control that snap-on oversteer. Through Cheetah. Then into the left-hander here at Ingwe. So the top 3 now covered by just over 1.6 seconds. Make that 1.662. As now Mikael Machega has lost out 4th position, and in the background there I've spotted a lesser seen Luke Whitehead, now up from 14th to P4. So we're into the second third of this race. We run on board the rear roof cam of the 299 of Jan-Niklas Ebrich in his McLaren 720S. Through into the right-hander now here at Sunset. And you could hear that he was lifting off So the revs would die down, then booted the throttle halfway through the apex, so neatly timed there by Jan-Niklas Ebrich. Now the gap was about 3.4 seconds between Ashton Cox and Luke Whitehead. It's now down to 3.1. Other batters, Matthias Albrecht closing on Lee Ware, and that is 2.5 seconds between what is 11th and 12th on the road. Afonseca closing on a buyer now, and that's the battle we go through to. Down into the S's. So through into Loikop. Down into Mine Shaft. So, I would imagine, so 3 drivers have already pitted for the mandatory stop, so Daniel Vela has actually fully repaired that car and is back out in 15th. He's behind Daniel Rumsey. Renaud Hesse also has pitted, and Adriano Mateos says, woohoo, DJ Racing. Yes, it's a 1-2 at the moment, with Ohak leading Ebrich by just over 1.25 seconds. And Luke Whitehead is now ahead of Ashton Cox. And the funny thing is, Ashton Cox was over 3.1 seconds ahead of his teammate, but now he knows the best way. Sometimes the best defense is also a good offense. So he thought, well, let's let Luke pass. But Luke Whitehead absolutely pushing the limits of adhesion, going through Sunset there. Here's a buyer. Oh, and a buyer goes into the barriers just off of the right-hander. Now, this is what happened earlier on with Ashton Cox. Now, this is going through. He's just exited the Crocodiles. Now, we'll go through into Cheetah. Now, just watch this quickly. Oh, whacks the sausage curves. The front axle goes up, and a little tangle with the barrier there. And that's why it wasn't a teammate side of things. It was actually a mistake from Ashton Cox on that particular occasion. And I think now Jan-Niklas Ebrich and David Ohak have very, very so with 26 minutes and 17 seconds still to go in this race, the gap between David Ohak and Jan-Niklas Ebrich, it's a DJ Racing 1-2. Gap between them is 1 second. Luke Whitehead 2.7 seconds off. Now we're going to go to another replay here. Now this is Kirsten Abaya, and this is going through into barbecue, and yeah, oh, I knew that was going to happen. One right rear wheel. So this is where these drivers now are going to be pushing like crazy. Closing into 15 minutes to go. Well, 15 minutes completed. Yellow flags out because of the number 3. Now that's Erki Marmor down in 10th position. So that has brought the yellow flags out. So Lee Ware now will take 10th place as a result of that. And that was actually just on the approach going between Cheetah and going through in towards Ingwe. So Lee Ware now up into 10th position. But Luke Whitehead is chipping away at that gap. And that is going to be, it was 2.7, it's now 2.2 seconds. So over the last 2 intermediates, Luke Whitehead has taken half a second out of Jan-Niklas Ebrich. Ebrich has taken away the best part of about 3 to 4 tenths of a second. So here's a replay. This is Erki Marmor, and this is where we'll see why the yellow flags came out, going through into Cheetah. Oh, loses the back end, and the car goes front nose end in, and that was an instant 720 there. Front end of that car. So we're on board with Jan-Niklas Ebrich. Gap between the 2 leaders now has dropped. to just over 6.5 tenths of a second with 24 minutes on the clock to go. So the top 12 out of the 15 still yet to serve their mandatory pit stop. Now through into the S as they go, and Luke Whitehead's got the gap down to 1.8 seconds. Whitehead started 14th on the road just over 16 minutes ago, and now he is in with a shot for the victory here at the McLaren Showdown casual race here at Kyle Army, live and uninterrupted here on World Pro Racing. Now through in towards the Crocodiles they go, having negotiated their way through Mineshaft. That gap is more like 0.2 of a second going through into the Crocodiles when Ebrich started to use the brakes a little bit more aggressively going through into the Crocodiles. Out of the final corner, now we're going to run into double figures in terms of the laps. So we go on to lap 11, gap between Orhak and Ebrich, now just under 7 tenths. Luke Whitehead, 1.5 seconds between him and Ebrich. So Whitehead is just chipping away. So you can see now that Ebrich is not... Well, he's playing the team game at the moment. And I stress those 3 words significantly here. At the moment. Because once we get into the final 5 minutes, it will be all for themselves. And, yeah, looks like Dario Mangion rooting for Mr. Merchega. So good to have you with us, Dario. There's Reiner Hesse. 8 tenths of a second ahead of Matthias Albrecht. And there is Merchega closing in on Sandro Zarha in the number 12. And this is the battle for P5. So they come out of Loikop. Lee Ware's just gone into the pits. So driver number 4 out of the 15 have pitted. Luke Whitehead has got past Jan-Niklas Ebrich. Now my big question is, did Ebrich have a little bit of a moment? Because that's why you can now see that Luke Whitehead is showing us nearly 2.6 seconds behind David Orhak. So if we can get a replay of that, that would be greatly appreciated to our from our broadcast crew, because that would be the only thing that would... I mean, Jan-Niklas Ebrich is one that I notice whenever I've commentated on him. He's never had any major dramas to speak of. There's been the odd occasional slip-up, but nothing to that kind of extreme, if I'm honest with you. So they now make their way through into Clubhouse. The gap now between Whitehead and Orhak is now 2.2 seconds. Okay, right, we're going to ride on board. This is going through Mineshaft and heading towards the Crocodiles. Luke Whitehead goes to the left-hand side. Jan-Niklas Ebrich goes through into the Crocodiles, runs wide. And that allowed Luke Whitehead... So Whitehead got an absolutely brilliant turn of speed going through Mineshaft and then got the job done. He literally put the frontness on Jan-Niklas Ebrich, and that's why the German ended up running wide. So 20 minutes down, 20 to go. David Orhak leads ahead of Luke Whitehead, Jan-Niklas Ebrich. Ashton Cox rounds out the top 4. Sandro Zarha rounds out the top 5 ahead of Mikael Merchega. Jorge Afonseca, Kazdan Abaya now up into P8 ahead of Pripana. Matthias Albrecht, as there goes Jan-Niklas Ebrich diving into the pits. And it's not just him that's dived in. David Orhak has gone into there as well. So the DJ Racing cars have decided to blink first, and now it is Luke Whitehead's opportunity to start leading the way. And as a result of that, both he and Ashton Cox, both running under the H3 Racing banner, have started to move forward. Miko Machega now pits as well, and this is on lap number 13 of the race. And Ohak out of the pits. Jan-Niklas Ebrich out of the pits. So Ohak rejoins. And that will be behind Sandro Zarha. So Ohak drops to third place. Ahead, fourth place ahead of Jan-Niklas Ebrich, as Luke Whitehead finding to try and get his way past back marker traffic, which includes a couple of cars in front, one of which will be Rumsey, the other one which will be Rester. And there is, and then you've also got the 25 of Daniel Vella. We've also had a 10-second time penalty issued to the number 4, and that's Lee Ware. And that was an unsafe move on track and causing an avoidable collision. So that has been handed out by Race Control. Big thanks once again to our race director and race steward, Adrian Figalo and George Muscat, as always, for their expedient work. So Whitehead leads. And he's now going to start lap number 14 with 17 minutes and 40 seconds on the clock still to go. Ashton Cox, 4.8 seconds behind in second position. As now Sandro Zarha on lap number 14 opts to pit in the number 12 McLaren. So that means we have the following drivers: Whitehead, Cox, Abaya, Palmer, Elbrecht, and this driver here, Marmor, who has got Daniel Vella trying to go up his inside, and that's going into, of all places, Sunset Bend. And Marmor runs a little bit wide, Vella up the inside, nicely done by the number 25. So Mercedes Albrecht coming under fire from Jorge Afonseca, and this is going through into Loicott. Now, that behind them, I would imagine that is going to be, yep, that's Luke Whitehead. So Whitehead trying to put another lap down on them. He's flashing the light, so he's basically saying, you guys might be in your own battle, but you need to get out of my way. He's got a 5.2 second lead ahead. Good awareness there from Afonseca and Albrecht to get past, as Abaya has now ended up in the pit lane. So Luke Whitehead is going to go for a long strategy call until now. He pits from the lead. And will Ashton Cox follow suit? No, Cox goes on for another lap, so he now takes the lead on what will be lap number 15 of this race. Just under 16 minutes to go. As Machega and Zara as Machega round the outside at Sunset Bend. He's kept that planted in, and could he get the run going into the clubhouse? He does. Oh, that's a brilliant move there by Machega. That was epic stuff. Just planted it around the outside of Zarha, who nearly goes into the back bumper of the 97 going through into the S's. Oh, that was pretty much squeaky bum time right there and then for the number 12, and he had to back out of it. There's now Machega trying to get round. Now that looks to possibly be... Oh, now that's a back marker. That's not what you want right there and then. I'm sorry. Well, that's actually... oh, that's actually Pripana. So that is a battle for position. So things have really spiced up here at Kyalami. Track temperature now 27 degrees Celsius. Air temperature 25. Sandro Zaha goes through Cheetah. Now into the left-hander here at Ingwe. So, at the moment, with 14 minutes and 40 to go, Ashton Cox leads on lap number 15 of this race. He'll soon complete that lap, and that will also be dependent on whether he pits as well. Now, Afonseca will get track advantage as soon as Matthias Elbrecht actually pits from 9th position, as Afonseca now could be on fresher tyres. Down through the kink. And now into the left-hander here at Crowthorne. There is Ashton Cox. He's got a nearly 17.5 second advantage over David Ohak in the number 13. Luke Whitehead, 2.1 seconds off of the number 13. As Cox makes his way through Clubhouse. Now down into turns 8 and 9. So through the left at 8, down into the right at 9. And then up through towards Loikop, which is turn 10. And then you got the sort of reminiscent of Forest Elbow at Mount Panorama. So through turn 11. So Ashton Cox lets the car drift wide to the right whilst putting the hammer down. So 4 out of the 15 drivers still yet to pit with just over 12 3/4 minutes to go. There's Ohak and there is Whitehead. So Whitehead now is closing. I think that was Marmore that Whitehead and Ohak just put a lap down on again. So this is effectively the battle between Ohak and Whitehead is the battle for the de facto lead, because it'll only be a matter of time before Ashton Cox pulls that number 158 into the pit lane. Now he's on his 17th lap. So Elbrecht and Marmore have now pitted. Pridparna and Ashton Cox, the last 2 drivers to pit. If they forget to pit by the end of this race, they cross the finish line, it's an automatic 130-second post-race penalty. And there is Elbrecht, just leaving the pits. Looks like Erkin Marmore trying to effect some repairs to that car, because look at the front end of it. There's definitely some panel gaps that need to be adjusted once the new replacement parts have been put in. That car's in there for quite a significant amount of time. So here's Ashton Cox. He's just gone through down Mineshaft and now through into the right-hander at the Crocodiles, turn 13. That's actually a turn right there. They've just gone through turn 14, in through Cheetah. And again, Ashton Cox has put, I would think, has probably put a lot of fuel in that car, and now is flashing the fog lights at Kirsten Abaya, saying, right, Mush, out of my way, come on, coming through. So Ashton Cox continues to lead lap 18 of this race, and we are coming towards the final quarter, as there was a bit of a off-track excursion exit stage right, courtesy of Kirsten Abaya. So as they say in baseball, we're heading into the bottom of the 9th, folks. And Ashton Cox is playing the long game. Pridparna also playing the long game, and the Estonian, well, you know, the Estonian now is currently in 7th position. Now exits out of turn 10 at Loikop. David Ohak now has got Luke Whitehead breathing all over his back bumper. I'm wondering if Ohak's had a bit of a moment maybe, but Luke Whitehead has been putting the hammer down. And we go on board with the H3 Racing driver in the number 2 McLaren. Through the S's. Up. Now let's stay on board with him through Loikop. Turn 10. Now on the power. Up to 2nd. Short shifting to keep the traction there. Now down through Mineshaft. This is where Luke Whitehead's got the perfect opportunity as Pridparna heads into pit lane. Double waved yellows there were just then. So Luke Whitehead not able to spring a surprise overtake. But it is going to be a case of putting the pressure onto David Orhak. Through into Cheetah. Turn 15. Now into the left at Ingwe, as there is Rainer Resso, who's just got out of the way, as now Whitehead gets a really good run, catapults out of Ingwe, right on the back bumper of David Orhak. Ashton Cox still leads, so H3 from DJ Racing and H3 Racing. Whitehead waiting to use that move, that momentum. Is he going to go on late on the brakes through into Growthorne? He's going to try and go for the move, but Ohak keeps it planted. Parner gets a drive-through penalty just now, and Whitehead trying to do everything in his power to close in. It's one thing to close in on, it's another thing altogether to get your way past. But Luke Whitehead is a man with focus, determination, and the back marker just up ahead is going to help. So here we go. Oh, that's going through into Clubhouse. That was Daniel Vella. So Daniel Vella gone in the way. And now Luke Whitehead looking for the opportunity going through the S's. And he goes up towards the inside through turn 8. Gets, and he powers past. That was a brilliant move. Luke Whitehead now up into second position. This now has turned from a DJ Racing 1-2 to an H3 Racing 1-2. Now the opportunity with 7.5 minutes still to go on the clock. This now basically means Whitehead has to keep pushing. But what he has to do is Ashton Cox now pits. We're on lap, what's going to be lap number 20 as soon as Luke Whitehead crosses the line. So Whitehead now has the opportunity. From 14th on the grid, Luke Whitehead now takes the lead of the McLaren Showdown here at Kyalami with 7 minutes on the clock. So Whitehead now has gotten away to the tune of about about 0.8 of a second ahead of David Orhak. Ashton Cox. We'll just wait to see where he emerges in terms of the pits. So Parner now serves his drive-through penalty. And the good thing is that Ashton Cox is ahead, I believe, of Jan-Niklas Ebrich. That is the case. There is the number 158, and Ebrich is quite a bit further back in the distance. So no podium on the cards for Jan-Niklas Ebrich. So Ashton Cox did the safe option and did the long haul and got that chance to do so. There's Kirsten Abaya, and there's Jorge Afonseca, the Portuguese driver. Oh, had an absolutely brilliant turn of speed. That was coming through Mineshaft and into the Crocodiles. Afonseca was absolutely planted to the floor. The adhesion on that McLaren was well and truly stuck down on that tarmac as Afonseca looks towards the inside. That's going through the final corner. Afonseca nearly had an opportunity to get the run, but on that particular occasion, Kirsten Abaya just went, no. Thou shalt not pass, my friend. And it won't be the last time we see that either, I bet. But all drivers have now pitted, with Ashton Cox being the last driver to have done so. As we're into the last 5 minutes. So the final 8th of the race underway here at Kyalami. And Luke Whitehead now has nearly a 1.5 second advantage over David Orhak, with Ashton Cox running at the top 3 as Jorge Afonseca trying to get past Kirsten Abaya. They're going to go through Clubhouse now and then go through into the S's. Afonseca goes one way, then to the other. And it's trying to keep Kirsten Abaya guessing on what move he's going to pull out of the magician's hat. It's either going to be a Harry Potter wand or a white rabbit. One of those two. But Afonseca loses a little bit of ground, but Abaya makes a little bit of a mistake going through turn 10 at Loikop. Now this is game on between these two for 7th position. Down Mineshaft. reaching speeds in excess of 225 kilometers an hour before going hard on the brakes, down from 5th into 1st, through the Crocodiles at turn 13, through this slight kink here at 14, up from 2nd to 3rd, into the right-hander here at Cheetah, lift off, then put the power back down, up to 4th quickly before dropping down 3 gears into 1st through Ingwe. 3 minutes and 45 seconds left on the clock. Afonseca now starting to show a little bit of desperation in that driving style, from my honest opinion there. And Abaya's just keeping his McLaren as close to the racing line as possible. So they've gone through the kink now into the left-hander at Crowthorne as Abaya goes wide. That's opened the door well and truly for Afonseca, but Abaya comes back onto the circuit. And that effectively was had the position going through into there. I wonder how the stewards are going to look at that one, because in my honest opinion that was running wide and was actually off track and got the advantage back in his favour. So Afonseca should have really been given that place. But that's from me from a sportsmanship and a sporting perspective. But Afonseca will keep on wrestling with that 315 McLaren to get past the 92 of GT Omega RPM Esports. Kirsten Abaya, but it looks like they've got somebody behind, and that somebody is the leader, Luke Whitehead. So the blue flags were being waved. Luke Whitehead now he had to back out of that one. Oh, Afonseca trying to battle away with Kirsten Abaya. They both need to get out of the way. So Afonseca does so. Blue flags again thrown towards Kirsten Abaya. We've got just over 2 minutes and 20 on the clock remaining. And there is, I think that was possibly David Ohak I've just spotted there. And that is the case. As this trio. So, bit of a moment there for Abaya, who runs wide coming out of Cheetah. Manages to stay ahead, but then the door is open once again. Kirsten Abaya is making so many mistakes. When Jorge Afonseca gets an invitation, he won't need a second one. Down through the kink, into Crowthorne. Abaya goes defensive. Tight line taken by Afonseca. Just behind them is Ohak in the 13. We are 90 seconds away from the timer hitting 0, so this puts Luke Whitehead on the penultimate lap of this race. We might have another 2 actually, because Whitehead's been, they've been running in the 142s or so, and Whitehead has been pulling away convincingly, and he's been metronomic at doing so. He's not looked back, he's just looked forward. His last lap was a 1 minute 42.3. So blue flags again. This time being waved once more for the pair of Abaya and Afonseca. So when Luke Whitehead crosses the start-finish line, he will start the 24th and final lap of this race. From 14th on the grid, and now leading, he took the lead a little bit earlier on in this race, around about with about 7 minutes to go. But Luke Whitehead again, showing the calibre that has put him. So final lap has been called, as Luke Whitehead heads his way through the kink, now down into Crowthorns for the final time. Timer now officially strikes 0. That is it. And it has been a performance from Luke Whitehead that again showcases his calibre. His inner strength, his guts, his gumption, his motivation, his will to win, the desire to succeed as sparks fly off of the rear diffuser going through the exit of Sunset Bend. And he's just going to bring it home at full throttle. He's over 5.4 seconds ahead of David Ohak, who took pole position. Let's ride on board with the leader for the last few corners. Exiting turn 9 through the S's. into 10 at Loikop. Second gear, now through turn 11. Down mine shaft. Over 145 miles an hour on the brakes into Crocodiles for the final time. 3 more corners remain. Now turn 14. Now into the right at Cheetah at 15. But now, from 14th on the grid, he's done it again, hasn't he? Luke Whitehead comes out of Ingwe and wins the McLaren Showdown casual race here in the Gauteng province of South Africa. David Ohak, pole position winner, takes second, 5 seconds adrift. And there is Jan-Niklas Ebrich, and here is Ashton Cox, so there has been a change. Oh, and Ashton Cox into the barriers on the penultimate corner, but Jan-Niklas Ebrich makes it a 1-3 for DJ Racing. And he hits the barriers going across the start-finish line. A very, very wounded Ashton Cox takes fourth. Mikael Machega, a great run from the 97, comes through the Crocodiles. Kirsten Abaya pips Jorge Afonseca by a second, the 7th position. Rainer Hesser in 7th. Lee Ware, 14th, behind Dean Vella. Erki Mamo, Mikael Machega comes across the line, and as the flares match the bright yellow paintwork on his car, he crosses the line, will take 5th place. Sandro Zarha will take 6th. Looks like Pripana's about to cross the line and will take 11th ahead of Matthias Albrecht. But Luke Whitehead, ladies and gentlemen, is your McLaren Showdown casual race winner here at the Kyalami Grand Prix circuit in South Africa. Based in Midrand in the Gauteng province, not too far outside of Johannesburg. But there we go. That is it. Nathan Mifsud, you called it. From 14th to 1st after 40 minutes. Luke Whitehead is your winner this evening. You know what? It's got to that point now where I'm not surprised. I'm never surprised. But it was, again, it was difficult to call it. I didn't know whether it was going to be David Ohak, whether it was going to be Jan-Niklas Ebrich, whether it was Ashton Cox, or whether it was Luke Whitehead. I mean, even Mikael Machega had a chance. But Luke Whitehead was triumphant here tonight. We're waiting to see if we can get some interviews with maybe part of our top 3. But also, again, well, funnily enough, let's have a chat with our first driver. 3rd place this evening. Good evening, Jan-Niklas Ebrich. How are you?
Good evening. I'm good, and you?
Not too bad. I have to ask you a question, Jan-Niklas. What on earth happened? I mean, we saw you behind Ashton Cox after Ashton did a very, very long stint to put his pit stop in. I think it was about 5 or 6 laps from the end. What happened? Because all of a sudden, we've seen that you're in front of him.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to him. I think he collided with a back marker. Yeah, from my side, I made a few mistakes. I was not confident with the car, especially over the bumps and the fast corners where I spun and hit the wall. And yeah, I had like, I think 15 second damage. That was around a second per lap slower than normal. Yeah, and over the curbs, I was just not confident with the car.
I think normally, you know, we normally see you in Lexus, don't we? On Assetto Corsa Competizione. So it is a bit of alien territory, but nevertheless, though, Jan-Niklas, congratulations on your 3rd place finish tonight.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, we'll head to our runner-up this evening. Put it on pole position, but finished 2nd in the end. David Ohak, good evening.
Hello, good evening, everyone.
So an opportunity, dramas for Luke in qualifying, put you on pole position. Did you feel that there was a possibility that he might come through the field as a lot of people expected he would? And did you think you still had a chance of winning it?
Yes, of course. I put my maximum on this, but I knew the Luke is really, really fast with McLaren, and I don't feel really comfortable with McLaren. So it was really hard for me, but yeah, Luke do it one more time, yeah.
Yeah, he never surprises us anymore. We can sort of see it coming a mile off. But David, congratulations on your second place finish on the McLaren Showdown tonight, and well done.
Thank you so much.
Okay, last but by no means least, well, he nearly started last in qualifying. Right, Luke Whitehead, explain yourself. What happened in quali?
So, I mean, you probably saw it throughout most of the race. I was having really bad connection issues. And I never usually have them. I'm kind of used to it, and they kind of just go away because obviously my Ethernet runs off the phone line, so it's quite unreliable at times, and it has sort of spikes in where it goes red. And this time it stayed, quite bad, quite severe for the whole of quali, and for the start of the race, I think it was for the first 5 or 6 laps, and then it went down to about 30 ping, which is what you really want. So I was trying to fix that, trying to reset everything, and it didn't, to no avail, and luckily it just reset itself. So I spent all my quali doing that, and I did, I think, 2 laps, both of which were invalid. A bit of a bummer from my part, but and the annoying thing was they would have got pole. I think I did a 40.8 or 7 in quali. It was invalid, but
you did 2 laps in quali. You did a 141.8 and then a 141.0, which would have put you half a second ahead of David. So literally, and that was a couple of tenths off of what you were in free practice, but still, nevertheless. As always, we come to expect this on a regular occasion. You suffer a drama, you end up at the back end of the field and literally just absolutely howitz your way through. But a real shame for Ashton, because there was a possibility of an H3 double podium tonight with you in first and he in third, but then very different strategies for you guys as well. You decided to react maybe a couple of laps after David and Jan Niklas, but then Ashton decided to literally go for the long haul. He put in the graveyard stint, as I would probably call it, but nevertheless, still a pretty good effort for H3 Racing this time. You picking up the victory and Ashton taking 4th. I know that Ashton will be disappointed with it.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I mean, Ashton was really quick in quali. He's been working on the setup. I worked on my setup as well. We both had separate setups, and I tried something really unorthodox. It seemed to work, and he tried something equally as unorthodox, and it worked for him really well. And he was really quick in the race. If anything, I think he probably could have had second. He made a mistake early on, and he was really kicking himself about that. And then I think he had an incident with a back marker later in the race, which was really gutting for him, to be honest. I really feel for him because he deserved a podium. He worked really hard, and he deserved it, and he had the pace for it. And then, as you say, he did the strategy that I was intending to do. I was intended to go really long and then just fuel up 1 litre at the end. And then, of course, I was a bit worried because I knew the gap before I pitted was about 4 seconds from me to David. And then, of course, I was kind of like, if I come out the pits behind him and I pit, with 1 lap to go, for example, I'm never going to get past him because this track, contrary to obviously how I came through on the first couple of laps, it's probably the hardest track to overtake apart from Brands Hatch because it's really narrow and you hardly get any break. Like it's constantly mid-speed corners. You got to hop the curbs. You got to be really precise with how you place your car. And I was not banking. I was not confident that I could get past with 1 lap. So yeah, I came out. I reacted earlier than what I would have liked. Came out. I think I gained about 2nd in the pits, which I was very, very happy with and very surprised about because I got held up by a few back markers. Obviously, this track is very narrow, so it's hard to get out of the way. And then, of course, I caught up with David, and I kind of just intended to bind my time, but I was helped a little bit by a back marker. And, fair play to David, he gave me lots of room, and I was really, I respect him a lot for that, because some people just turn in like you're not there. And it's quite nice to have someone fighting for the lead, especially when he's led for that long. To give me enough room, to both give each other enough room through a corner where you really don't want to be going side by side through. It was really nice. I really liked that. So yeah, really good race. Despite a little touch early on, I got a little bit of melee going through the back markers. Got a bit of damage. I think it's about 9 seconds of damage. But yeah, really brilliant race. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and it's good preparation as well for the Endurance Cup in about a week's time.
Oh yeah, so you're running that on the sim grid, so good luck with that. Obviously, you and Dahamada Erquizi, who's also featured here on World Pro Racing in the fight, I think leading Sprint Cup Season 3, which heads to its next round next week.
Somehow.
Yeah, somehow. But, you know, congratulations tonight, Luke. And, yeah, we'll see you again very, very soon here on World Pro Racing.
Thank you very much, Alex.
So that really rounds out the interviews and also the show here on World Pro Racing. A big thank you, firstly, from myself and also the entire team for being able to put on a show for you, and also a big thank you to the drivers. A big thank you to all our viewers on Malta's TVM Sport channel, everyone watching live on motorsport.tv and also esports television, along with the World Pro Racing YouTube, Facebook and Twitch streams as well. If you are watching on the YouTube channel, don't forget to give this video a like, so hit the thumbs up button, and also, if you can, hit the subscribe and the notification bells as well. That'd be greatly appreciated because it helps us out. It helps us out no end. I'd also like to thank our partners once again: Thrustmaster, GT Omega Racing, HyperX We're All Gamers, AMD and Gaming Malta. Don't forget, we've got more to come. We've got Mega Sprint Tuesdays at the Hungaroring next Tuesday night, Silverstone for Race 2 of the HyperX Open Series, and then we really kickstart things into high gear on Wednesdays, Thursdays and Fridays with the Alpine GT4 Championship, the AMD GT4 Series, and Season 3 of the World Pro Racing Assetto Corsa Competizione Sprint Series, which is now confirmed as a complete sellout. That's it from me, Alex Goldschmidt, and also from the entire team over in Malta for World Pro Racing. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you very soon. Good night and take care.
World Pro Racing, where sim racing becomes real.
Senna was a god. No one could even dream to follow him.
I'm from a very humble background.
The role of women at that time were really difficult.
It's just so dangerous. You are risking not only your life, but also my life.
World Pro Racing, where sim racing becomes real.